In the past, we've had a lot of storms that turned out to not be that big a deal, and so people get complacent. But this one, we are directly in the path.
Hurricane Michael's bearing down on the Florida Panhandle. Overnight, the storm was upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane. It's the first major hurricane to hit the Panhandle in years. More than 100,000 people have been ordered to evacuate. Michael is due to make landfall sometime later today, bringing an expected 8 to 12-foot storm surge with it. Here with the latest on the hurricane is meteorologist, I call you weatherman, Steve Knight.
Yeah, millions in the path of this storm, Al. Upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane last night. Now, remember, the Saffir-Simpson scale is based on wind speeds. So we're talking about sustained winds of 140 miles per hour. Devastating situation bearing down here on the Florida Panhandle. You can see some of those outer bands already reaching the Panhandle here this morning, where they're already starting to deal with a bit of a storm surge. And they do have the storm surge warnings that are up from Panama City all the way down to Tampa. Well-defined eye here. It does look like landfall in this area here of Panama City, and I do think probably the worst of the storm surge will be just to the east of Panama City, where they're going to deal with that 8 to 12-foot storm surge. But then Michael is actually going to move fairly quickly. Not going to just sit and spin like Florence did and just drop copious amounts of rain. Still going to be a devastating situation in areas that don't need the rainfall. So you get the storm surge, and on top of that, we're looking at about 9 inches of rain in the Florida Panhandle, and then straight up through the Carolinas, 2 to 5 inches of rain, although those areas still dealing with the fallout from Florence. Now for us here locally, I think about 1 inch of rain is what we can expect for tomorrow. But yeah, Category 4 hurricane, remember, it only goes up to a Category 5. It does look like Michael will make landfall as that Category 4 hurricane with those winds of 140 miles per hour. It's this steering cold front, though, that wants to keep, thankfully, the worst of Michael away from us and then bring us a big cool down as we head toward the weekend. So locally, we've got one more kind of muggy day where the clouds went out about 80 degrees. And then we're soggy tomorrow as we deal with about 1 inch of rain, so a weather watch day. And that all part of a cold front that's going to leave us much cooler on Friday and into the weekend. Look at Friday's high, just 60 degrees.
Well, things in York are starting to pick up for us as we're making our way towards that morning commute hour, but still no accidents or major delays to report for you this morning. Everything seems to be moving A-OK as you're making your way up 83 towards the York Split. As you can see in our live shot here, everything's moving just fine. Route 30 is looking good. We are seeing a little bit of slow go there as you're making your way into the city from either side of 83. Inner city York roads are looking good. If you're taking Route 30 over to Lancaster, no problems for you. That's Look at Your Members First Traffic Alert.
All right, Ashley, talk about the calm before the storm. Check out this absolutely incredible sunset shot from a drone of huge waves breaking in Panama City, Florida, as Hurricane Michael approached last night. Oh, that's awesome. Unfortunately, things will get ugly later today. And a team from Pennsylvania will be there to help. PA Task Force 1 packed up and headed to Maxwell Air Force back in Montgomery, Alabama late last night. Now, keep in mind the team just returned home last week from a nearly 3-week stint in South Carolina, where they helped in the aftermath of Hurricane Florence. They will do the same in Alabama after Hurricane Michael passes through.
I mean, the hardest part is always leaving your family. That's the hardest part. Yeah.
Well, that's a testament to the folks on this task force. They understand that it's bigger than just them themselves. It's humanity. It's going out and helping folks who are in need.
3 members of Harrisburg's Bureau of Fire are part of his deployment. Well, it's not just trained professionals who are lending a helping hand. One woman from Carlisle, who is a retired nurse, is volunteering with the Red Cross. CBS 21's Amanda Hoskins tells us how she is preparing for her first major deployment.
Carolyn Bixler has spent much of her night reading through her Red Cross binder and watching the weather. A major hurricane. Hurricane Michael's path is set to go through the area she'll be flying to on Thursday.
I'm a little nervous, a little anxious, but at the same time want to, do this.
She's volunteered with the Red Cross for 2 years, but this will be her first major deployment.
I wanted to use the skills that I had and the training that I have received from being with the Red Cross, and just to be able to help more people, just provide more care to help alleviate their human suffering.
She says seeing all the destruction from recent natural disasters breaks her heart. After her best friend was called away from her 2 years ago, she wanted to fill the void by volunteering.
I would hope he would be pleased and that I would be helping people, because I've done that all my life being a nurse.
It's those qualities she's gained from being a nurse that she plans to use to help some of the most vulnerable people who will be seeking shelter from Mother Nature.
You be compassionate, be a good listener, and yes, be calm.
Bixler doesn't know how long she'll be gone, but hopes to return back to Central PA, knowing she helped people get started on their road to recovery. Amanda Hoskins, CBS 21 News this morning.
And some of Hurricane Michael's worst storm surge is headed straight for Florida's Tyndall Air Force Base. We'll go ahead and give you a live look outside right now in Panama City and a live look at our radar. We've been watching Panama City get progressively worse this morning. The base has just ordered now all non-essential personnel to evacuate as Michael continues to intensify as a Category 4 storm. The base is on an island about 12 miles east of Panama City and is home to more than 600 families. Unprecedented wind damage is expected in the area where several counties, now stretching into Georgia, are facing tornado watches.
All right, Ashley, a bill that would strengthen anti-hazing laws in Pennsylvania gets unanimous support in the House. It was introduced earlier this year in the wake of fraternity pledge Timothy Piazza's death. CBS 21's Joe Ducey is live in Harrisburg this morning with how lawmakers hope it would help victims and hold offenders accountable. Joe.
Hey Al, good morning. Lawmakers say the bill will give prosecutors more flexibility and increase penalties for those involved in hazing incidents. Now, before it makes its way to the governor's desk, it'll be going back to the Senate today after the House made some minor amendments yesterday. It'll require schools to have policies in place and reporting procedures in place to help stop hazing. Now, the bill would ensure parents and students are provided information related with the issue. It'll also establish clear-cut parameters on hazing for organizations like fraternities and sororities, and the bill would allow prosecutors to pursue felony charges if the incident leads to bodily harm or death. The bill is named in honor of Timothy Piazza, who was attending Penn State when he died in February 2017 after a night of hazing with a fraternity. Lawmakers commend his family for having the strength and tenacity to push for change that will inevitably help to keep others safe.
We're just excited to get this done for them here in Pennsylvania and hopefully give them a little solace that Timothy's death won't be in vain, that some good, meaningful reforms of state law will come from it, and hopefully, which I know they want, this will never happen to another child in Pennsylvania.
Senator Corman, who sponsored the bill, says he expects it to be in front of Governor Tom Wolf by next week. Reporting live in Harrisburg, Joe Ducey, CBS 21 News.
All right, Joe. Lawmakers are constantly looking for ways to combat drug use in Pennsylvania, but should lawmakers themselves be subject to drug testing? Why one rep is pushing for new requirements. Plus, if you plan to vote in next month's general election, you may want to check if your polling place has changed. The county that's experiencing a shakeup. Steve.
Michael, a very dangerous hurricane upgraded overnight to a Category 4. I'll let you know what he can mean for our weather with my first warning forecast.